Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network. On this edition of the program, Nigeria secures medal in faraway Bahrain, coming from tennis defending the WTA finals in Saudi Arabia. Chelsea goes crazy in Europe. Details of these and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television, and Kisley Manuel is here.
Monsieur, very happy to be here this morning.
Let's start from this very cheering piece of information coming in from Bahrain. Nigeria secured 3 medals at the just concluded International School Sports Federation gymnastic event held at National Stadium in faraway Bahrain. It is not common to find medals in gymnastics, and for young athletes to do that, this is cheering. We've seen Nigerians, yes, from Bayelsa State in this feat.
Yeah, it was, let's say, a little bit an impressive outing for Team Nigeria in Bahrain, in this particular one. This is actually a school sport, where, athletes from different schools, of course, come to compete. And
about 5,000 athletes involved in this one from about 70 schools.
Yes, and for me, I think if you take a look at it, Team Nigeria, they didn't do that badly. They had a little bit of an impressive performance. At least they were able to hold their own in basketball as well as, other events, talking about, athletics as well. 3 medals won at the end of the day. For me, I would say not really an impressive one. And for me, for what we've seen so far, we've actually declined when it has to do with school sports down here in Nigeria. We'll no longer, take a look at, school sports and see how we can churn our talents. And at the end of the day, going down to such a competition, we should be able to amass, more medals, more than just, 3 medals at this point in time. Yes, we could say at the end of the day, we came out 29th, overall when it has to do with the table ranking, 3rd in Africa, as it stands. But I believe we can possibly do so well than the other countries that even got us, the likes of Morocco and also Algeria, down here in Africa. If we actually tilt our eyes, towards, developing talent and bringing back, the school sport competition that we used to do down here in Nigeria, I believe in such a competition, we should be standing tall. But for me, 3 medals, not bad, but I believe the athletes would have possibly done better than what they did.
3 medals, not bad, but of note is the 100 meters event where we saw a time of 10.36 seconds return by Tejiri Godwin for Nigeria. He did this ahead of Hungary and Bulgarian athletes. Even in the 200 meters event, we saw Lubube Miracle Ezechuku winning the silver medal with a time of 23.80 seconds. This time should be interested. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria should be interested in these times returned by this Nigerian lad, the boy and girl. 10.36 seconds and 23 seconds in the 200 meters event. That's quite an encouraging time to work on for future sprint events.
And I tell you, that's the reason why I said we have talents in the country, but we do not develop them, we do not nurture them. That's the problem. I believe you know, these athletes were just being taken few days, you know, to this competition and they get them prepared, you know, for this one. So imagine if they have done more preparation. Imagine if these athletes, they might have, you know, been undergoing different, you know, training and also competing in different tournaments. It means they would have possibly done better than what they did, you know, at this point in time. So I think for me, that idea of school sports, of course, should be, you know, they should actually bring back that idea. And as well, the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, they should not take their eyes off from this athlete. They are, you know, young athletes coming up, very much talented. And I think for me, the Athletic Federation of Nigeria should look towards that direction and see how they can create that platform to nurture them. You never can tell. They might grow up to be the next Toby Amuson, Favor Philly, you know, come tomorrow. So I think for me, they shouldn't just let them go. Get them in, see how they can create that platform where they can compete day in, day out. The next school competition, of course, will be coming, and also we're looking for athletes that will also participate for Team Nigeria. So I think at this point in time, we shouldn't just let them go, get them in, train them, and see what they can be able to do in the future.
We need to train our athletes and ensure that they are available and in proper condition for participation in athletic events in the future. 70 countries were out there in Bahrain. Nigeria came at 29th overall and third best in Africa after, I think, Morocco and Algeria that came 10th and 12th in the, out of the 70 countries that were out there in Bahrain. I'm sure the School Sports Federation as well will follow up on this one. But we'd like to say thanks to the government of Bayelsa State and, of course, the FCT for ensuring that these Nigerian athletes were out there in Bahrain. We need to see more of this kind of sponsorship. Let's quickly now go to wrestling. And in wrestling, Messi Adekuroye, Pakistan Alfred, and, of course, New Life Ibikemi have emerged as standard champions in their respective categories at the ongoing third Governor Doediri National Wrestling Classic in Yenagua. This is a preparatory event for both national and continental events, competitions in wrestling. Adekuroye, no doubt, always been around.
Yeah, Messi Adekuroye, always been around, just like you mentioned. And this time around, she actually proved, you know, her prowess by putting up that impressive performance, clinching gold medal.
Something interesting here. Yeah. This is the younger sister of
Odunaya Adekuroye. Yes. And for me, if you take a look at it, I think, you know, wrestling runs in their blood. If you take a look at the sister of Odunaya Adekuroye, she's also done so well for herself when it has to do with wrestling. And Messi, of course, not letting things out. She's also putting up that impressive prowess. We see her in so many tournaments, the National Sport Festival, you know, and the rest. She's been so fantastic. And I think for me, it was a good one that Danny Gali, of course, has to support her and bring her down to the limelight, you know, at this point in time. And for me, I think she's one wrestler that we're going to be looking up to in the future, because from what she's doing at this point in time, you definitely will see the future is really bright, you know, for Messi Adekuroye. So it was really an impressive performance, you know, for her in this particular one, and we'll see how far, of course, she'll be able to go going forward.
Bayelsa State looks like the hub of wrestling here in Nigeria, because 92 kg freestyle event, we saw another Bayelsa, New Life Ibikemi win gold medal, showcasing his skills and, of course, resilience throughout the match. Ibikemi's victory, we are told, was one of the most anticipated moments of the tournament, as he actually took out Besigea Obazi by technical superiority. All of these are Bayelsans. Benjamin Senjibo of Delta State Okwe came in the third place position. What can we do to continue to unearth raw talents in wrestling from Bayelsa State?
I think they are doing so well when it has to do with unearthing talent already, you know, in Bayelsa State, especially when it has to do with wrestling. They are doing so well. Danny Gali is not letting, you know, is not actually putting things down. Is making sure that, you know, there are tournaments, you know, every year for these wrestlers to train. Unlike other federations that do not even, you know, put up any mini tournament for their, you know, athletes or players, you know, for them to engage themselves in you know, in action. But when you take a look at the Wrestling Federation, you see them going in different tournaments, you know, every year. And that's why we've seen these athletes, of course, they are always at, you know, their very best, you know, whenever they go out for competition like this, or even when they even host a domestic competition like this. So for me, I think it's really an impressive one. We must give kudos to Dan Gali. The man has been so hardworking, you know, since he became the president of the Nigerian Wrestling Federation. And so, in a few years he's been in office, I tell you, wrestling has experienced a massive growth, down here in Nigeria. Globally, we've done so well. Blessing Obrodudu was able to get a gold medal for Nigeria in the Tokyo Olympic Games. Yes, we understand the last Olympic was not that a good outing for the Wrestling Federation, but though they tried, they went all the way to the finals. Yes, they couldn't get, a medal back, for the country. But for me, if we take a look at the way wrestling has been on a very, very good, I've experienced progress in the country, you will say definitely Danny Gali is doing a very good job. And I tell you, we're going to miss Danny Gali because the man has said he's not coming back, for the next tenure, because that's based on the constitution. Is not expected to come back at this point in time. So who is going to take over the helm of affairs at this point in time? We believe the person, of course, will start from where Danny Gali has stopped, or else, I tell you, we might see wrestling going down, just like we've seen boxing, on the decline for some years now.
Well, we hope that there will be definitely someone that will come get the job of Danny Gali at the end of his tenure, and of course do well as well. Wrestling, he's brought us so much honor in Nigeria, and so we want to continue in that light. We hope that it doesn't slide, like he mentioned there, like we've seen in boxing. Let's go now to rugby, where the Nigerian Rugby League, we saw 14-16 thereafter, 11-7 and 12-10 in favor of the German, who was in a very fantastic form at the Aegean Arena at Frankfurt, Germany. Where do Haruna Quadri go from here?
I think you just have to hang up, till next year at this point in time. The year has already come to an end. We expected a lot from him this year, especially the way he started.
He started beating the Japanese?
Yeah, yes, and for me, he hasn't really lived up to expectation, after that. And therefore, take a look at how things have been. I think the other tournaments we hear, he has diarrhea, even had issues with the tennis body in terms of points, and all of that. So the year hasn't really been that so fantastic for Haruna Quadri. Maybe I will say much pressure, on the man, being the fact that he's the man on the front line, when it has to do with table tennis down here for Nigeria. You take a look at other table tennis players we don't really hear much about them in terms of, performance. So I think there have been a huge decline in table tennis down here in Nigeria, and there should be, we should do something about it, or else I tell you, we might not, if Haruna Quadri retires today, I tell you, we might not be here in Nigeria when it has to do with, global tennis or continental, table tennis competition. So for me, I think there's a lot that needs to be done before Haruna Quadri call it a quit.
From table tennis now, let's go to look at what latest happening from lawn tennis. And talking about lawn tennis reminds me that the WTA's finals is here and ongoing in Saudi Arabia. Defending champion Iga Swiatek, Kisley, is out of the competition. Guess who beat her? This time, the same Barbara Krejcikova, who have always done that, especially this season.
For the sad one, yesterday when I saw that one, talking about, Iga Swiatek, she lost that game, but was able to come back against Daria Kasatkina. And getting that one done, she was hoping on Barbara Krejcikova to beat Coco Gauff, so that, of course, she can get down to the next round, of the WTA final. But Coco Gauff couldn't hold her own. We saw Barbara Krejcikova getting that one in straight-set victory, as it stands. So with that victory, Barbara Krejcikova now moved through, and Iga Swiatek, of course, has to leave the competition at this point in time. So sad for a defending champion, for a woman who started the season in a very, very impressive fashion, not finishing at #1 position this year, and as well being ousted out from the WTA final she won last time. Is a very, very, it's a sad one for Iga Swiatek, the way she's ending, her season, not really a remarkable one. It's unlike the Iga Swiatek we saw last year that was putting up, a very, very impressive performance, won tournaments for herself, but this time, I tell you, she has not really performed very, very well, and I think for me, she should look at it. Yes, she's gotten a new coach for herself. Probably she's trying to get things, she's trying to understand the new style and also to put herself straight. But for me, I don't really think it's a bad one. Things like this at some point need to happen so that you re-strategize and come back fully. I think we should be looking forward to see a very, very refreshed and new Iga Swiatek come next year.
Iga Swiatek started the year as world #1, has ended the year now without the world #1 position and crashing out of the season-ending championship for female ongoing in Saudi Arabia. Interesting fixture comes up later today, and I want to see that match between Arina Sabalenka, the new world #1 in female tennis, against American Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff, can she stink Arina Sabalenka?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because the way Arina Sabalenka is, the format which she is presently, it's going to be very difficult for Coco Gauff, of course, to take her down. We'll take a look at the game again between Barbara Krejcikova and Coco Gauff yesterday. I don't know if it is because she already qualified. That's why probably she didn't put up a very impressive performance against Barbara yesterday. But if, from what we're seeing, the form of Arina Sabalenka, if Coco Gauff doesn't step up again, it's going to be a very, very difficult one for her to defeat, Sabalenka. I understand, yes, Sabalenka should suffer a defeat in this WTA final against Elena Rybakina. But of course, you will see that, the level of tennis she plays, the kind of tennis she plays, definitely you see that she has really improved. And it's going to really take a lot for Coco Gauff to take her down. For me, I'm seeing Arina Sabalenka being unstoppable in this WTA final, especially looking at the fact that her rival, Iga Swiatek, is out. She's finishing the year at world #1. I think she wants to get this WTA finals, to make sure that she gets all she wants this year.
WTA finals, defending champion out, new world #1 still in the race, and looking forward to adding that to her titles this year. She's already won 2 Grand Slams, and it will be nice to wrap up the year with the WTA finals. Arina Sabalenka from Belarus, very much in the race, but she definitely has to first take out Coco Gauff, one player that is that can really win her, if you ask me, Kingsley.
Yeah, Coco Gauff is one player that can really win. This year, I think she's tried, for herself, but not really what the fans expect, or not the expectation. She didn't really meet the expectation of some of our fans, especially me down here, because I expected her to do so well this season. She couldn't actually defend the U.S. Open she won last time. That one, of course, eluded her. But this is an opportunity for Coco Gauff to prove herself. She's one lady that I've been tipped, of course, to be in that same level of, Serena Williams, because, of course, she's an American, and Serena Williams is a role model, but she has not really, hit that height. And
talking about some of the events players, tennis players that in the female category that's really of note this season, because it's coming to an end. Zheng Qin from China.
Yeah, definitely. Zheng Qin put up a very impressive performance. I think she actually took out Jasmine Paolini and down to get to the, I think, semi-final for the competition. And she's the second Chinese player to get to the semi-finals of the WTA. And for me, of course, a very impressive one. When you talk about long tennis, China are not always known for it. Of course, you mentioned them more in table tennis, but seeing her in this particular level, I tell you, it was really, really an impressive one for her.
Congratulations to Queen, and they are coming up very strong. We hope that Arina Sabalenka too will continue to end season status as world #1 with a title out there in Saudi Arabia. We'll take a break now. When we return from break, we'll look at golf, and besides golf, we'll go to football. And talking about football reminds me how Chelsea went goals crazy last night, scoring as many as 8 goals. We'll look at that. Victor Osimhen is back on his feet, really good, and scoring a brace in an encounter last night. When we return from a break, so much to tell you about football. Stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honourable
You human trafficker.
Honourable they are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Welcome back. Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and Kingsley is here, and together we'll bring you up to speed with the latest happening around the world of sports. And now, let's take a dive into golf, Kingsley. A lot of people believe that the segment, I would say, some better fortune coming in the way of international golf with the winning of U.S. presidency by Donald Trump. And right now, a renowned golfer, Rory McIlroy, believes that the addition of Elon Musk and Donald Trump in the White House will see, a big boost for the Saudi Arabia-backed LIV circuit. Is this true? Yes, we know Donald Trump to be an avid golfer, and you think this will boost the relationship between Saudi Arabia-backed tournaments?
Yes, I think we just hope to see that, this, of course, will be put, to rest at the end of the day, because there have been a very huge tussle between the PGA Tour and the LIV from Saudi Arabia, where some players, of course, are being restricted from participating in the PGA because of the fact that they tend to associate with the LIV because of the big money that the LIV, of course, posed so far. So at this point in time, it has been back and forth, to see for the players, of course, to have that free room, to participate in any tournament they want at this point in time. So I think the players like McIlroy and the rest of them are hoping that all of this will be put to rest since Donald Trump, of course, is now the president of the United States of America. Just like you mentioned, he's someone who loves boxing, golf so much, and
his friend Elon Musk as well.
His friend Elon Musk as well. So I think with both of them coming up at this point in time, they might put to rest, this issue going on between the PGA Tour and the LIV. And I think for me, it would be so, good to watch, seeing the players, of course, having that room to participate, in any of the, tournament they want at this point in time. It's all about the money. And the PGA, of course, they're thinking the fact that the LIV possibly will take away the shine, from them because of the big money in the polls at this point. But
they have already, because everybody wants to play on the LIV circuit,
yeah.
And because of the gargantuan amount of money that is involved out there in the LIVs, sponsored by the Saudi Arabian conglomerate. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see how the appointment, the presidency of Donald Trump will affect the running of the Professional Golf Association in conjunction with their counterparts from Saudi Arabia backed tournament LIV, so to say. From golf now, let's go to Formula One, and it's no longer news that, especially after that Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, drivers seem to be demanding some respect. You remember there was some kind of altercation and swearing between Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, and the henchman of Formula One, Mohammed Ben Sulayem, is not happy about the tone and, of course, the language of these drivers, and he's come up very strong to criticize it. But again, the association themselves, the drivers, are saying that they needed to be treated with some respect, and the tone and language used by the president of the Formula One body, Ben Sulayem, is too harsh, and they hope that they can get this tournament, his tone toned down, especially ahead of the Singapore Grand Prix. Is this drivers demanding too much? They should know that it is sports, and yes, it's full of emotion. Yeah, you say yes. So when the emotion boils over, you could say
so many things.
But the association henchman believes that they too can behave like adults and eschew some level of hate and in their speech.
One thing, I've seen the driver's body, the fact that the Formula One board, the chairman, of course, should treat them with respect. There have been some level of restriction on them. Don't forget the situation of Lewis Hamilton being, they actually told him not to wear jewelries anymore, and then they are not coming up to tell the drivers should mind the kind of language, they use. But for me, yes, he will say that the FIA, they are right, at this point in time, because if at the end of the day these drivers continue to use words that are not, really acceptable down there, it might go in a very might go in the way of, jeopardizing the image of the sport. I think that's what the FIA they are coming up with at this point in time. But I think they should just make it easy, not to be so that strong, on the players, because the players, they are feeling as if, they are just not, they don't really have that right, to express themselves, the way they want, being given restriction at every point. So they want to have that freedom to express themselves and as well to do what they want to do, in the sport. But I think at some point the players, the drivers also should try to see to what the FIA is they're trying to. They're trying to protect the image of the sport out there. So I think it's just something they just have to come together, put up a common understanding, and put things in place. If there are laws, I think all those things, of course, will be followed, and the game, of course, will continue to gain massive publicity.
Well, players' body trying to have a constant level of confrontation with the henchman of the Formula One FIA. We just hope that they will resolve, and everybody will be exactly on the same page in the Formula One. Let's go to football now, Kingsley, and it's getting more interesting. Week 11 is here with us, and much anticipated clash between Kano Pillars and Insurance of Benin comes up this weekend. Kano Pillars so far seem to have come to limelight with the signing of course, former Nigerian Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa. But Insurance of Benin, of late as well, have bounced back to winning ways. Do you see Kano Pillars build on their success over Plateau United last weekend?
I think they can, when you take a look at the fact that they couldn't get a favorable result, last time out. They lost the match, they 2-1 in that one. While Bender Insurance, they were able to outclass Sunshine Stars, of course, in their own encounter. So Kano Pillars will be looking forward to bounce back, in a very, very impressive, fashion. It's going to be a very tight encounter between Pillars and Bender Insurance from what we've seen at this point in time. We'll just look forward to see where, all 3 points, will go to. But I think Pillars will be coming all out. Ahmed Musa, of course, is still in the team, and since he joined, there have been a very, massive improvement, especially when it has to do with the attacking side of Kano Pillars. So it promises to be an exciting one, and we'll see which of the teams will get all 3 points this weekend.
The promise of excitement coming up this weekend, especially with the fixture between Kano Pillars and Insurance of Benin, traditional fixture in the Nigerian Professional Football League, if you ask me. Let's take a step higher, Kingsley. The Super Eagles home base side, probably called the Chan Eagles, were in camp, and we understand they have rounded up the second phase of their campaign exercise. All of this in preparation for the 2025 African Nations Championship. How successful has this 3 days campaign been for the Nigerian second tier team?
So far, so good. I think it's been impressive. 3 days campaign. I will hope that these players, of course, will be able to put up a very impressive outing this time around. Last time out was an abysmal one. They couldn't actually get things, done properly. But we hope that with Osnegwa, being at the helm of affairs as well, he was the one, of course, who also had to do the player selection from the different teams down here in the Nigerian Premier Football League. So I believe he has actually picked the best players that will go out there and represent the country. We hope that with what we've seen so far in the Nigerian Premier Football League, we're able to do so. I think this will actually tell what we're doing in the MPFL. Do we have those players that can possibly go out there and put up that impressive performance? We'll actually see how this one will go at the end of the day.
Chan, Super Eagles, Team B, all made of home-based players, are getting ready for confrontation against their counterparts from Ghana. I think this will be an evolution of the league played in Ghana and the one played here in Nigeria. Action expected in the next few weeks, in December to be precise. And so let's hope that the result of the campaign exercise we've seen so far will showcase in December when these two countries meet at the Chan level. Meanwhile, we understand the female side of Nigerian team, Edo Queens, yes, that's what they are called, from Benin, will be taking part in this year's CAF Women's Champions League that is due to take place in Morocco. And the team, we understand, have arrived Casablanca, venue of their encounter, runs from tomorrow, is it, Kingsley? Through to the 23rd of this month. We understand right now that to participate in this competition, you definitely have a lot of money to go back home with. Yeah. $150,000
Very
for
huge.
A female national team.
Very huge.
Do I say club side?
Very huge for me. That's about, if you take a look at it from what
that is just for participating.
Just for participating.
Oh, you
yes.
could you earn more money if you get even up to the final.
Definitely. There's a very huge prize amount of money. I think
but $6 million. So.
Yes, there's an increment in the prize money this time around for the CAF Women Champions League. And I must give kudos to CAF, Patrick Musempe. He has really done a lot. It was under his time that they actually came up with this CAF Women Champions League. And I think for me, it's really been an impressive one where we can also see the female teams in different countries competing at the continental level. Really, really massive one. And now they've taken the prize money to another level just to participate. From what I saw,
$150,000. But if you get to win the competition, $600,000 USD. I don't want to convert it to naira because that's quite jumbo.
I tell you, and for me, it's really, really motivating. And Edo Queens, I tell you, if they can get this one, will be very, very impressive. We saw what they did in the qualifiers, beating big teams like Hazaska's Ladies of Ghana, and the rest of the top teams, we have. So I think Edo Queens, they have what it takes. They have the potential. They've been preparing for this one. So for me, I will be looking forward to see Edo Queens probably going all the way to the final. That would be, a massive one. No Nigerian female football team has won this tournament. We've seen Rivers Angels, they've been there. I think Bayelsa Queens, they've also been there. Now Edo Queens as well. We just hope that, they were able to, of course, bring this one back home. It will be a very, very massive one for the female football down here in Nigeria. I think this point in time is a good one from what CAF has done. What's a way to motivate the female teams down here in Nigeria, and as well, I believe other countries who want to improve their female league at this point in time, so that they can also go and also benefit from these huge amounts of money. We just hope for the best for Edo Queens.
Best for Edo Queens, they have a lot of money already, and they can earn more money because if you move up to the group stage, you just come out third in the group stage, you will earn as much as 200,000 USD, and this is, in fact, if you come last, you still have more money, 300,000 US dollars, and that's quite a jumbo sum for any female side across Africa. We wish Edo Queens the very best of luck as they compete out there in Morocco. And talking about November, it is the month where we'll find the international break again. Kingsley, Kylian Mbappe, we have told, has been left out of the French national team for the upcoming Nations Cup League matches against Israel and Italy. After what looks like an omission, is it an omission from the coach for the French national team, Les Blues?
Yeah, Didier Deschamps, the coach of France, I think for me has his reason for omitting Kylian Mbappe. It's not been a very rosy start this season for Kylian Mbappe with his club side, Real Madrid.
He's been playing, but it's not just that he hasn't scored.
It's been, yes, I think about 15 games played now in no competition. The man has been able to register 8 goals, but he has not been able to fit into the Real Madrid side, and a lot of pressure is on the man at this point in time, because when he came in, there was a lot of expectation, and at least Madrid, they're going to improve than what we saw last season. But that has been the opposite of it. If we take a look at it, Real Madrid, they lost this week against AC Milan, and I think that's actually their second loss in the UEFA Champions League. And the Spanish La Liga as well, Barcelona, they're dominating them. Take a look at what happened in their Clasico, where they were bashed about 4-1. Mbappe was in that game. The fans were expecting a lot from him, and at the end of the day, he's not really putting up. Yes, we understand he's not playing his normal, position. Of course, we know he plays from the wings, but this time, Carlo Ancelotti has decided to keep him on the top 9. But the man has not really gelled in that one, and he has not been giving the team that necessary performance. So if you take a look at it, Kylian Mbappe is not in a good state of mind at this moment. So I think that's why probably Didier Deschamps wants to give him that time for him to see how to get himself back. Mbappe is a big player. We saw what he did at Paris Saint-Germain, but coming down to Real Madrid, though some person might want to say he's trying to get himself acclimatized. But you played about 15 games, so you should be able to see how to get your feet right in the team. But we've not seen that from Kylian Mbappe. So I think for me, the man needs time to be able to put himself right with his club side, Real Madrid.
Well, Kylian Mbappe not having very good times on this pitch, especially in terms of goals returned. But sometimes goals dry up, but he'll come back again. So, but at least he's playing. Right now, Didier Deschamps believes that maybe the player needs some rest, and that has excluded him from upcoming international friendly involving the Les Blues of France. Let's now go to look at some of the actions that took place at the Europa Conference League and, of course, the Europa League itself. One man that has dominated the headlines in the Europa League in the course of the week is Ademola Lookman Kingsley. Atalanta, we saw them in action just about 48 hours ago, and Ademola Lookman, you can't stop him from scoring difficult goals and setting records as well. Stuttgart, they had Atalanta play against Stuttgart. They never lost in over double-digit games, and now we saw Demola's goal, wreck them and stopping them over 20 games winning streak.
Ademola Lookman, has been one man that has spoiled, the record of some teams. We saw what he did last time against Bayer Leverkusen. Went all down to the Europa League final unbeaten, but he was able to shatter that record. Came down to the Italian Serie A, that was last week. Napoli, they've gone about 10 games unbeaten in the Italian Serie A, but he was able to shatter that record in the last match day we saw. And came down to Stuttgart, who have also maintained a very impressive record, and he also shattered that record in the UEFA Champions League. I tell you, the man has been so fantastic. No wonder he's been tipped for the CAF Player of the Year, but we'll just see how that one, of course, will pan out for him. But if you take a look at it, he's now one of the best players in the Italian Serie A and I tell you, he has done so well for himself. We look forward to see what, of course, he'll be able to get going forward.
Demola Lookman looks like the man that will get the award any going forward, according to Kingsley. And from his performances so far, it looks no doubt Africa's best player. No wonder he's ranked number 14 in the world, and of course number 1 coming from Africa. We hope to see his goals prowess translated. He should be in the party for the Super Eagles at the international break, Kingsley.
Yeah, he's been called, and we look forward to seeing him as well, showcasing his prowess once again for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. It's a game of no consequences. Probably this is also an opportunity for him to, of course, improve on his goal tally with the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
And Demola Lookman, they're not making the headlines for Nigeria. One other player that's making the headlines is Victor Osimhen. He scored twice, as Galatasaray did inflict first Europa League defeat of a season on a 10-man Turan Hotspur side. Turan Hotspur went to Istanbul, Turkey, and they were beaten roundly by Victor Osimhen and Galatasaray FC.
Yeah, it was a very impressive one, of course, in that encounter. Galatasaray scored early in that game. They scored, I think, towards about 7 to 8 minutes in that encounter, and they were able to hold their own, despite the fact that Tottenham Hotspur came back, but they were able to hold their own and see how they can get down that particular one. And as well, Osimhen getting a brace was a very, very fantastic one for the man. This is what we expect from Osimhen. Of course, if he doesn't score, if he doesn't put himself on the limelight, clubs will not come for him. We'll hear there's already, a huge dilemma at this point in time where we hear Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain might be looking for his services. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and see what comes up for the man. But I think he has been living up to expectation as it stands.
Manchester United were action last night, and we had an, unlikely goal scorer in Ahmad that scored 2 fantastic goals for the side at the Europa League. Manchester United new coach is expected to have seen this one with just a few days to his getting leadership, leadership of Manchester United technical department.
Yeah, for me, good one. Van Nistelrooy was the man on the touchline yesterday, and I think he was able to put up a very impressive one. It's not been so rosy for Manchester United in the Europa League. They've played 3 games under Ten Hag.
And they've not won any.
They've not won any. But thank God for Van Nistelrooy coming up at least to change that narrative at this point in time. So I think, if you ask me, I think better days for Manchester United, looking at the fact that they have Ruben Amorim, one man who beat Manchester City this week, in the UEFA Champions League. Having such a man and United, I think, you see, we should be looking forward for the glory days to come back at Old Trafford.
One win for